Alright, gonna give the stream like a few seconds to get warmed up. Setting my timer. 30 minutes. Although, this might be a shorter stream today, since I'm kind of starting a bit later than normal. Let's see, am I live yet? It looks like I am. Great, awesome. Okay, so welcome to anybody who's watching. Yeah, so for today, well, okay, so last time, right, a recap, I got to a point where I figured out how to convert the timestamps, right, from epoch time in seconds to hour of day, and then figured out how to index my data so that I could grab data in the hours of the day that I was looking for. I'm looking at my stream and it looks like something is actually wonky about the live stream. Or is that just me? Let me see what's going on here. Is that just me? It is just me. It looks fine. Alright. How do I get the chat open again? Okay, yeah, it looks fine. Alright, cool. Yeah, so yeah, so I plotted basically all the data between the hours of 8 and 9 a.m. And made sure, verified that it was properly showing, grabbing the right data, right? And then I started basically wanting to make a histogram of average capacity and other statistics versus hour of day across this whole 3-month-long data set that I have, right? So I started this really simple for loop, right? All it's going to do is it's going to go through each hour in the day. It's going to grab the data for capacity versus hour and day. So it's going to grab the data for that specified hour, and it's going to calculate the average and the standard deviation of that station, that Greg Street station, during that hour. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this data to a vector that will then be plotted into a histogram. So let's see. All right. I wanted to make empty array. Make empty array in NumPy, because I want to initialize an empty array and then add to it. That'll be my those would be my arrays that store this data per hour. So this should be simple. How do I actually, what I would like to make is an empty array of size 0. And oh, you know what? No, I don't have to do that, because I know exactly how large this array is going to be. It's going to be 24 elements large, because it's 24 hours in a day. So easy enough. So we'll do average capacity versus hour equals np.empty, and then shape. It looks like it can be a tuple, or if it is just an int, what happens? Empty unlike zeros. Okay. Zeros, ones. All right. So yeah, I don't know why. Oh, I see. Right. I was gonna say in MATLAB you would go with zeros if you wanted to initialize an array, but NumPy has this empty option. It doesn't set the array values to 0. Maybe marginally faster. All right, sure, that's fine. That's fine, because we will be setting all the values. So let me try this. I'm just gonna make this. I'm gonna try making the shape just one value, and that's gonna be 24. I already know it's 24. I'm just gonna hard code it, right? Same deal with the standard deviation. same thing. Cool. And now I'm actually going to replace this with oh, you know, this is interesting actually. I could replace this for loop with a list comprehension. I'm pretty sure this for loop could be a one-liner, but just for like readability's sake, I'm going to leave it this way in a for loop. Yeah, there's no real advantage, I think, to using a list comprehension here, other than just making your code more terse, which is not really a priority right now. All right, so average cat per hour, and you index with this is interesting actually. So hour, you know, it also works as the index into these vectors or arrays. So I can directly just use hour as the index, and yep, just take the mean, standard deviation, and I always like to comment where the for loop ends. So this is where the for loop ends, and for hour in range. Right. Just add a little descriptor like that. Because in Python you don't have an end statement, you just have in tabs. It's kind of hard to keep track sometimes. Alright, so this should be pretty much set. And now what I want to do, I want to plot this histogram. I've never plotted a histogram before, but I'm just going to go try this out. So plot histogram. I'm going to do a really simple plot first, which is just using the default settings. So I'll be using, let's say I want, well, okay, make hours equals range 24, right? And this could actually be replacing this. Try not to repeat code if possible. That's the point of having a variable, is to be able to reuse it, right? So let's look plot histogram of average capacity per hour across entire data set. Right. Okay, what other arguments are in here? I can just copy paste some things. So we got our title, and we'll say histogram of average capacity per hour, right? The X label will be hour of day, Y label will be average capacity, and what else do I need to say? I believe that's it. And then plot.show. Right, and what I think will happen, this will actually plot this data on top of all this other data that was getting plotted earlier, because I didn't make a new plot yet. I don't know how to do that yet, so I'm gonna do that after I first try this out to see what happens. So it's thinking. Okay. Oh yeah, there's the data right there, right? So you can see it's plotted all the way to the left. It's kind of like messed up the plot. That's fine. One thing I could do is comment this out, but I'd rather plot all that data separately, and so I want to know how to make a new plot. How to make a new plot in matplotlib. Alright, let's check out Stack Overflow. Alright, there we go. Object-oriented interface. In your case, wait, okay, let me read this question. How do I tell matplotlib to create a second new plot, then later plot on the old one? Alright. So here they're doing plot figure. Alright, I don't have that code, so maybe that's what I'm missing. Plot, np.sign, figure plot. Oh, I see, okay. They want to know, so they make figures by just doing matplotlib.figure. That starts a new figure, but then how do you return to an old figure that you've already made? Right, yeah, it looks like you just save. Is that what it is? Subplots. I don't know what subplots is, but it looks like you just save whatever argument value is returned from plot.subplots. Fig2, and that fig, this fig1 and fig2 are handles to your figures. Or is it the axes that they're actually plotting? Interesting. Okay. I want to know, what is subplots versus figure? When you call figure, simply number the plots. That seems like a more yeah, this seems like a more straightforward approach. So let's do that. Alright, so here we go. Plot dot figure, and I'll call this figure 0, although I don't really need to number these right now because I won't return to any. This will plot the data for, yes, for all the data across all time. So what I want to do is I want to see if I can combine this code with the later code that plots data in the selected range. So plot all data, replace X labels with human readable timestamps. These should be the same timestamps, this same code here, so I can erase this. And then let's see what else. This is also repetitive, so I can delete that. I do want to show the plot. Okay, that's not what I meant to do. There we go. Alright. And then down here for this histogram, it'll still be a new plot. Plot.figure, figure1. Alright, let's give that a go. What else is in this code? Looks pretty identical to mine. Alright, will this make me close this figure? So this figure did plot correctly. Will this make me close it? Yes, it will. Ah, interesting. Okay. Histogram of average capacity per hour. Yeah, okay, cool. So it's usually useful to show histogram as sort of like a bar plot. That's the way that it's usually presented, which is kind of to highlight the fact that these are like buckets that we're calculating. But before I get to plotting the bar plot version, I want to see how to be able to return control from matplotlib back to Python without needing to close this figure. Matplotlib, how should I, what to look for, how plot all figures without needing to close? Plot one figure at a time without closing old figure. Yeah, so how do you do this? I don't know what this is. Okay. Just add plt.pause inside the loop after plot show block equals false. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is what I want. Block equals false. There we go. Alright. You know what? Why don't we look at what show does exactly? Plotlib show. Okay, here we go. So it only has one argument, and that's block, which is optional. If true, block and run the GUI main loop until all figures windows are closed. If false, ensure that all figure windows are displayed and return immediately. You are responsible for ensuring that the event loop is running to have responsive figures. No idea what that means, but alright. I think we figured out the code that I was looking for. So let's close this. It's done. Yep. Alright. Run this again. Those two numbers, by the way, for anyone who hasn't seen them before, the first one is the average capacity across all time for this data, and the second is the standard deviation. Oh. Wait. Okay. Huh? That's weird. So it looks like it just closes the figures right after they open. That's weird. Let me wait for all figures to be closed before returning. Okay, so how do I actually show all the figures at once? So here's the file. Weird. These bar charts are actually what I'm looking for, so I'll look at that later. But I really want to know what is this and what is this interactive mode. All right. You know what? Just for kicks, what happens if I make this true? Because the default value is none, which does not mean true. So what is going on? Let's see. Yeah, this is the previous behavior that I was seeing. You have to close one window to open the next. Alright, I want to know what this is. Enable interactive mode. See, PyPlot is interactive for, okay, whether plots are updated after every plotting command. Oh, okay, I see. This is just so you don't have to. Oh, what's this? Show all figures? Display all open figures. Really? Oh, wait, does this mean that I just need one of these? Right. Okay. Yeah, it looked like interactive mode was only useful if you were like debugging or something, or you want to plot one plot at a time without needing this call plot.show every time. Do I only need one call to plot.show to show all the plots? Oh, wow, yeah. There we go. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was looking for. So I guess this code, this line, should just always go at the end of your script if you're plotting stuff. Okay, cool. Alright, let's figure out how to do this bar plot. This data is already really interesting too, by the way. I didn't talk about it yet, but yeah, just looking at it's already really interesting. And it's pretty much what I was expecting, that you see this dip in the midday and then a rise at the end of day and start of day. Okay, I'm looking for matplotlib bar graph. Matplotlib pyplot.bar. There we go. Make a bar plot. The bars are positioned at X with the given alignment, alright, which is default at the center. Dimensions are given by height and width already has default as well. So, alright, cool. Let's just try it. Alright. Where are we looking here? This should be a bar plot. Let's try that. Yeah. Alright, there we go. Neat. Okay. That's actually kind of funny. I don't know if that's more pleasing than what we had before. Maybe the y-axis just needs to be adjusted. Yeah, alright, cool. That's pretty neat. One more thing I want to plot is the standard deviation, and for now I guess I could plot this separately just to see what's going on, but what I would really like is some format to plot both on top of each other. And maybe a bar plot is not the way to go there. Maybe I want just like a scatter plot or something with some error bars on it. Plot histogram of standard deviation of capacity per hour. Let's say d of capacity. And now looking at these plots side by side should be really interesting. Okay, Oh, there we go. Wow, that is actually really interesting. Huh. Okay. Well, so on the left is the histogram, right, of average capacity per hour. And first of all, right, even at the peak of this plot, the average capacity is sitting at like zero point 0.4 something, which tells me that this, and then at the lowest it's like 0.2, right? So this is already a station that's clearly underserviced because, or undersupplied rather, because I would consider anything below like a capacity of 30%, right, to be a station that's just really lacking in bikes. I mean, for context, I think the station is maybe, I think I'd say like 15 bikes, right? So 30% of 15, that's, 4 bikes or something like that. Um, yeah, that's, and then often I just find the station totally empty. Um, so yeah, I'm pretty sure the station's under service. This is just proving that fact. And then the histogram of the, oh, I forgot to change the title here. Standard deviation of capacity per hour is really interesting because it's kind of flat. It's almost the same standard deviation across the uh, entire yeah day, which is not what I was expecting, because I mean there are times in the day, right, when like you wouldn't expect the station capacity to be really changing at all. You have you've midnight to like early morning when everyone's asleep and no one's really taking bikes out. So it's really surprising actually, and it makes me wonder if there's something wrong with this calculation. But I don't think there is. Just looking at this, I mean, this code doesn't seem to show that there is. But yeah, you can see this. Oh, actually, there is one way to see if that's true or not, which is I could go back to this plot where I was plotting only the data between, or highlighting the data between a certain hour of the day. I could see if there is a lot of standard, if there's a lot of deviation. Yeah, let's do that. Right, if I said this was like from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m., or maybe even like even more dead hours from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m., ran all this again. Let's see what happens. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it does look like there's a bit of deviation. Yeah, that's really interesting. Huh. Not really what I was expecting, although I have a feeling that this might actually be due to the fact that I'm including weekdays and weekends in this calculus, and weekdays and weekends have very different trends for this station. Yeah, so, but even then, like this, the fact that this is so flat is really interesting, that it's almost always seeing a standard deviation of like 20 to 25%. And it does, and it looks like it dips down a little bit during the hours of the day when the station empties out. But that's expected. I mean, so standard deviation, right, is, I believe, it tells you the probability, or yeah, the value that you would expect the average station capacity to fluctuate by, within a probability of something like plus minus 30%, right? So then, I believe that's what it means. The station would spend 60% of its time fluctuating between plus minus 20 to 25% of its average value, right? So if the capacity drops all the way down to 20%, or even below 20% here, right, that means that with like, I believe, yeah, with 30% probability, you would find this station actually at 0% capacity at certain times. certain days. So that's yeah, that's really informative information, or really informative information. Wow, really interesting, informative data to look at right here. What else can we look at? So I think this is about all that I had in mind to try and do today. Let's look at these histograms. One thing we could try to do is actually select what days of the week that we want to look at, and I would imagine just kind of doing some like pseudocoding in my head. The way to do that would to be, here we're we're grabbing our data by using a Boolean that tells us when the hour vector, right, is between certain hours. And we could probably just take this data and perform another Boolean, and it with another Boolean array that tells us whether we're looking at a weekday or a weekend. And that would be really simple to do if the day information that comes back from date time, right, where is it actually? Yeah, from here, from date time is a number. That would make it really easy. So maybe as the last thing for tonight, because I just don't want to go too long, is investigate what happens if I grab day instead from this vector. And I wonder if, well, first is to know whether day is even a field that I can grab. So let's see. Date time, get day. Oh, actually, this seems to suggest there's a weekday function. Example, get weekday. Use weekday. Alright, there we go. Weekday. Perfect. Okay, and from the documentation, returns the day of the week as an integer where Monday is 0 and Sunday is 6. Alright, there we go. Then I think I know exactly what I want to do, which is, let's say, we just modify this, only look at weekdays, right? So I already have hours, and I have hours a vector. What I need is I need to also have code. I can delete this now, that's just for debugging. That grabs the day of the week. Okay, and I can check if this will work. Dayvec equals to hour of day and day of week as array from timestamp t weekday. Alright, and I can go ahead and print dayvec and see what happens. Should see a bunch of zeros and ones and twos up to 6. Okay. Yeah. Well, I got some numbers, so I'm that's good. That's a positive. Now we can look at trying to plot that data for certain days as well. Let's say day to plot equals 0, so we're looking at Mondays. I'll make a little note. 0 equals Monday, 6 equals Sunday. And then I'll make that Boolean that I was talking about. My day to plot equals, and it should just be really simple, day to plot equals dayvec. I'm pretty sure that's the syntax. And then what I want to do is AND my hourly range and my day to plot Booleans together and plot this. And I get an error. What is the error? Traceback in plot in range. Oh, that's my time. Alright, I guess that's it. I do want to try and see if I could finish up here though. X and Y must have the same first dimension but have shape 750 and 96. I think I know what happened, which is that, right, yes, I also have to modify this down here. Alright, let's try that again. Yeah, it would have been better to have saved this as a variable, and maybe I will do that actually, because index my hour and day equals that. Because, yeah, right, when you start to repeat things, you want to replace those repeating things with a variable. Cool. And let's have a look. Wow, okay, that is interesting. Not too many data points, which kind of suggests perhaps I don't have that much Monday data. I know my data is kind of intermittent, so I don't have every day represented here. It's not really that complete. Yeah, this is interesting though, that it looks like there's only a few Mondays worth of data in this data set.